Hi there and welcome to Real Life and Real Estate. I'm Mark Peebles, here to help you live your best life and achieve ultimate success. Thanks for being with us today, and thanks for always supporting the show. You know, we have had tremendous results on our podcast, lots of downloads. We've been very happy with that, and we're growing the YouTube channel now. So remember to like and subscribe us, follow us on YouTube. We'd love to have you watch the podcast on there as well. And you get Monday Mindsets, remember. So it's at It's Mark Peebles. That's our handle. At It's Mark Peebles is where you can find our YouTube channel. But again, thank you very much for all you do to help make the show successful. You know, we are here, like I said, to help you live your best life and achieve ultimate success. I want you to live a better life. I want your life to be amazing. And I want you to achieve ultimate success, which means I want you to have a vision for your life, for your business. And then I want to help you get to that vision. I want to help you reach that destination. And that's why we're here. So speaking of destinations, what we're talking about today is I just got back from a destination as we are recording this. I spent 17 days on the road, an incredible trip. Went to Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado, and then up through Wyoming and into South Dakota, and then I toured all over South Dakota. I spoke 7 times in 10 days. It was quite an amazing trip. So I want to talk about it today. I want to give you some of my notes from the road, some of the things that I learned, some of the things that, you know, have changed in me over the time that I was away. And I thought sharing it with you today might be of value to you as well. So let's get into it. First off, flew into Denver, and I went on an amazing hike the day after I got into Denver. I went to Royal Arch and the Flatirons in Boulder, Colorado. Absolutely beautiful, stunning views, and the hike was amazing until about the last mile when I hard turned my ankle. Now, I have a history of doing this. I've done it on 2 other hikes, one of which was going down to the Grand Canyon. That one was pretty bad. The other one was in Colorado, also up in Collegiate West, part of the Colorado Trail. I turned my ankle a little bit there, but we were close to the end of our hike. This one, luckily it was just a day hike. I was a mile from the end of the hike. I hard turned my ankle. And when I went down, I don't know how I did this. It happened so fast. When I went down, I hit my opposite knee, my right knee. I hit on a rock coming down. So the rest of the way down, I had 2, what I say is limpable injuries. You know, sometimes to see amazing, beautiful things in life, it doesn't always go the way that we expect. And this was certainly one of those cases where I had just come off of a high, literally the high point, incredible views. I saw something that I've never seen before. I did something very challenging, and then turmoil hits, right? And there's struggle in it. And I will tell you, that last mile of my hike was awful. It was a really rough last mile of the hike. Now, luckily, I use trekking poles. I don't have great knees, so I use trekking poles. So I at least had something to lean on to help get me down to my vehicle. But it was rough. And then I leave there. I get on the highway. When I get on the highway, I literally sit still for 2 hours on the highway. So just like compounding effect. You know, life can go amazing. And you see these beautiful things, you do these amazing things in life, and then that the challenges hit, real life hits. And how are you going to react to it? Well, I chose to go into some rest, right? I spent the rest of that day, the rest of that night resting. I did take some ibuprofen, kept it elevated. And ultimately, I had to go on because the next day I started into my conference that I was there to be a part of, to take in, and I knew that I had to be able to at least hobble around. And thank goodness that rest coming out of that season or coming out of that injury, right, and taking that time off the rest of that day and doing the right things to get back on track, that next day I was at least able to walk a little bit. Not saying that it was super comfortable, but in life, when we have the hard things hit, sometimes we have to take some steps, take a step back. We have to rest. We have to get ourselves refreshed so that we can continue on with the things that are most important. So those are some of my initial lessons from my trip. Well, then I was in Fort Collins for a very specific reason, and that is I became a ninja. So for those of you who are familiar with ninja selling, I think I've mentioned ninja selling on the show before. I actually went out. I've had a friend, Teresa Hennon, who we had on the show. I think we actually talked about ninja selling when she was on the show. Teresa's been trying to get me to go to ninja selling with Larry Kendall for years. Now, I'd read the book. I've read the book a couple of times over the last few years. I have given the book away more times than I can tell you, because I do think it is one of the best books in the industry if you want to grow your business. And so what Larry Kendall has built, I found out while I was there, 120,000 people have been through ninja selling. 120,000. I mean, that's huge impact considering there's, a little over 1.3, 1.4 million agents in the United States right now. And he has impacted 120,000 people. Now, that's over a long period of time, but even still, what a major impact he's not just had on agents and brokerages, but he has had on our industry. What a phenomenal man he is. And I was so privileged to get to sit in and basically sit at the feet of Larry Kendall, who, I'll be honest, he is not the most dynamic speaker in the world. He's not like the most energetic speaker in the world. But here's what Larry Kendall is. When he speaks, you listen. Because everything he says, he's just so full of wisdom. And when he speaks, you grab on to every word that he says. I can't really explain it. He is so compelling. And I believe that's one of the main reasons he's had such a great impact is because, one, he cares. And then two, the thought that he puts into every word he says, he's so compelling. And so ninja selling was absolutely powerful. I spent 4 days in Fort Collins. I made all kinds of new friends in the industry from all over the United States and beyond, because there was actually a group there, I think 11 agents from Barbados. And it's actually part of the top team in Barbados. I don't know, maybe I'll get maybe I'll end up getting the team lead on. I sat next to her one day, and she is very energetic. She built a tremendous business in Barbados. So maybe we'll have her on one day, because I think there's a lot of perspective that we can glean from her. However, some of the things that I took away from ninja selling, besides new friendships, let me talk about a few of these things. So first of all, Larry Kendall talks a lot about gratitude and affirmations. And I've never been a big affirmations person. I've always believed in gratitude. I've done Monday mindsets on gratitude, having a gratitude mindset, a grateful mindset. But I've never heard it from the perspective that Larry taught gratitude and then affirmations. And so when it comes to gratitude, he actually showed a video called The Happiness Advantage. It's by Sean Achor, I believe is how you pronounce it, Achor. It was a TED Talk, okay? So if you search The Happiness Advantage, Sean Achor, TED Talk, you will find the video. Go watch it. Phenomenal material. But basically in this, Sean talks about escaping the average and how, in society today, we like to measure to the average. And so we want to bring people who are below average up to the average. And what Sean Achor says that was kind of revolutionary was that we don't just want to bring people up to the average, we want to bring the whole average up. And so it's this philosophy of bringing the average up. And he's talked about this in the perspective of happiness. And he talked about how we always, especially in business, we think that if we work hard, that hard work is going to make us successful, and then that success is going to equal happiness. And he said, no, we need to flip that. If we are happy, then out of our happiness, we will want to work hard and experience the success. We will have success because of our happiness. But he talked about the way that we get there. And I thought this was really powerful. So he said in all of their research, they found that the people who are the happiest in life, who are the most successful, and are considered to be happy people, there were 5 attributes that they found are very important for those people. So 3 gratitudes every day. So they start their day and they find 3 different things every day to be grateful for. So they're not just grateful for the same things over and over and over. 3 new gratitudes every single day. The other thing that he talked about was journaling one positive experience from the day before. So what is one positive experience you had? Journal about it. 15 minutes of fun. So, exercise is what he said. And I mean, if you consider exercise fun, okay, whatever. No, I'm serious. But there's something that happens physiologically when we exercise that improves our mood. Then he said meditation. Now, his definition of meditation was 2 minutes of clearing. All right. So you're spending 2 minutes where you're just clearing your mind. And he said, if you would start doing this before your next task, that you'll be much more efficient in that task. And then the last thing was random acts of kindness, which would be like notes, writing notes to someone or sending a text message to someone or sending an email to someone, just saying what a great job that they did on something, right? So it's those random acts of kindness. So revolutionary watching this video and then hearing Larry talk about this and how we implement this into our everyday lives. So let me tell you about some of the changes that I've made. I have started every single day writing. I was always trying to write some thank you notes during the week. In fact, it's part of the Ultimate Success Framework. That's the system that I teach to help agents live their best lives and achieve ultimate success. It's the Ultimate Success Framework. And so we're about to release the online course. A big part of that is writing thank you notes. But instead of just writing 2 thank you notes, I'm trying to keep thank you notes with me. And I write thank you notes as much as I possibly can now, right? So if I have a few extra minutes, I'm going to write a couple of extra thank you notes. There's so many aspects of my life that I feel like I need to write thank you notes in. There's my real estate business because I'm still selling. There's my real estate relationships with other agents, with the agents in my company, with my staff. Then there's relationships that expand beyond, relationships that I built from the show, relationships with other national speakers that I know. I mean, there's a lot of people that I need to tell them how grateful I am for their relationships and their friendships in my life, their impact on me. And so I'm trying to write as many thank you notes, as many, call it random acts of kindness notes as I possibly can. And so I've gotten even more serious about this. But here's the other thing. I've talked about my morning routine, I think several times here recently on the show. And my morning routine has always been that I get up, and because I struggle to get my mind going in the morning and wake up, the first thing I do is I put on my clothes to go to the gym, and I go to the gym because by exercising first thing, that usually gets me going, and then I come back and I am, more ready to go for the day, and I can get into the rest of my morning routine. Now, here's what I've done. Over the past 3.5 weeks since I went through Ninja Selling, I started while I was there every morning. First thing I did, waking up, writing down 3 gratitudes. So I throw my gym clothes on, I'd go write 3 gratitudes, and I added to that affirmations, and I'll talk about that in a second. But then what I do is I sit there in the gratitude, and I go into a time of prayer. I just thank God for all that he has blessed me with, and I focus on these gratitudes. And sometimes it might be a person that I'm grateful for the work that they do, for the way that they've impacted me. And I'll pray for that person. It's really been just some really awesome times. And I'm doing this first thing. I've never really done this part of my morning routine first thing, but it's been very powerful. And I find like my mind is coming alive. And so I'm really loving this. So I do the prayer meditation. I'll spend some time just being quiet, clearing my mind, going through that mind clearing. And then what I found is now I'm actually like, my mind starts to come alive to where I can read. And so I've started reading now. I'm training myself to do my reading, which I read the Bible in the morning. That's really the reading that I like to do before I go to the gym. So in order to do that, I'm now waking up 20 to 30 minutes earlier than I was waking up. One of the things I like to do is get out ahead of problems that come up for my clients when they move into their homes, because something is always going to go wrong. The water heater is going to stop working. Their furnace is going to go out. They're going to have a plumbing leak that they're going to be calling me needing help on. I love to be able to tell them, hey, we got you an Advantage home warranty as part of your deal. That's amazing, because now you can make one call or go online and file a claim with Advantage Home Warranty, and they're going to take care of the rest. They'll send a technician out to make the repair, or they'll put money towards a replacement if it gets to that point. So it takes off so much stress for me, for my clients, to know that I've got Advantage Home Warranty in my corner, and I carry one in my own home. I think you should too, and you should recommend it for your clients. So check out Advantage Home Warranty at AdvantageHW.com. That's AdvantageHW.com. Much more efficient for my day, and I am finding that I feel so good going into my day. So these have been big things. Now, the one part, affirmations. I've never been a big affirmations person, and I think maybe it's because I grew up in the generation where on Saturday Night Live you had, I think it was Stuart Smalley. He used to sit in the mirror and he'd be like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. And so like there was always this cheesiness around affirmations. But what Larry Kendall talked about, and I found so fascinating, he talked about how 15% of our mind is our conscious mind, like what we're actually thinking of, but 85% is our subconscious mind. And what affirmations are doing are training our subconscious mind. So if I want to, lose 50 pounds, I've got to train my subconscious mind to make a change in the way that I think about food or think about exercise, right? And so it is training my subconscious mind. Now, what Larry challenged us to do, and I've always been a little bit resistant to, even when I read the Ninja Selling book, is he wanted us to come up with whatever our initial affirmation was going to be, and he wanted us to write it down 25 times every day for 30 days. And in that 25 times, over 30 days, what you are doing is you are writing it and telling your subconscious mind how to think about something. And the amazing thing is, I've been doing this every morning now since the very first day of Ninja when we received the assignment. I've done it every single morning as part of my morning routine. And it is pretty amazing because, I'm trying to change some things personally in my life. And what I'm finding is now that I'm, 20, 23, 24 days in, however many days I'm in to doing this right now, I'm thinking different about things. And so it is starting to take effect. And I think, my goodness, what could I change next, right? Now, listen, there's all kinds of ways that you can go about doing this. And, I use the weight loss idea. One of my big things is I am not going to be diabetic, right? So my whole family has been diabetic for generations. And I decided I'm not going to be diabetic. So I've got to change things in my lifestyle, which I've done a lot of that this year. And so I've got to retrain my brain around the relationship with certain foods that will lead to metabolic syndrome and ultimately diabetes. And so I have begun to retrain my brain around that using my affirmations. All right, so maybe it's that for you. Or here's the other thing that I've thought that I'm going to put into practice. There are certain things in my relationship with God that I want to reinforce. And so I believe my next affirmation, I'm going to use scripture for my next affirmation. And I'm going to write a scripture over and over again for 30 days and let that change my subconscious mind. So there's a lot of ways you can do this. Maybe it's a business goal that you have. Maybe it's a relationship goal that you have. You can actually begin to change your subconscious mind around a certain person or around a relationship or around your approach to business using these type of affirmations, written affirmations. And what Larry Kendall challenged us to, which has been really powerful, has been writing it 25 times over 30 days. And then you move to the next affirmation. So anyway, this has become part of this morning routine. It's about between 20 and 30 minutes in the morning that I'm spending on this part of my routine before going to the gym, which is new for me, but it really has been a powerful experience. So that's some of the personal changes that influenced me with Ninja Selling. A lot of business takeaways, so many business takeaways. And again, Larry Kendall, when he speaks, you listen. I'll tell you what, I'm hoping we can have Larry Kendall on Real Life and Real Estate because I want to learn more about him and have him speak into your lives as well. But he talked about real estate reviews. We talk about the client home value report, annual client home value report. He reinforced the importance of doing an annual review of your client's real estate and what's the current state of their real estate portfolio, the current value of their real estate portfolio on an annual basis. Reinforce that. He's been teaching this for years. So very important. I can't reinforce that enough. How important it is to be doing real estate reviews, or the annual client home value report is what we teach in the Ultimate Success Framework, which we actually teach a specific format for that. Handwritten notes. That was a big thing. I was very encouraged to keep going with handwritten notes, but for me, it was doubling down. I felt like, man, I've got to double down on this. I get lax about it. I'll go a couple days without doing it. This has got to be part of my everyday. So what I've been doing is I come into the office, first thing I do is I knock out some handwritten notes. And then, like I said, I usually keep some with me so that if I'm sitting somewhere, kids sports event or whatever, I'm waiting for, pick up my daughter, which that's a whole different story as of today as I'm recording this, but waiting to pick her up, I might be writing a handwritten note. Let me sidetrack on that. My daughter got her driver's license. My youngest daughter got her driver's license the day that I'm recording this. And so last kid driving, right? So that means I'm not going to be driving her around and waiting for her anymore. And there's some bittersweet to this. As I watched her drive off the first time today, there was a little bit of sadness, right? So, okay. But that said, that's why I sidetrack on that. It's a big thing in life, right? And I got to experience that. Here's another big one from Larry. Tell me more about that. Sometimes I think someone says something to me and instantly what I want to do is jump in and start talking, talk. What Larry does is when someone tells him, anything about their life, instead of jumping in and talking about himself, he says, tell me more about that. And it's to draw out of them the importance, of why is that important to them, and ultimately get to what their dreams are in that, to understand them more. And so that was one of my big takeaways. I've been using that one a ton in a lot of my conversations. I've learned to pause and say, Well, tell me more about that. I was actually great conversation with one of my clients. He is Italian. He's a dual citizen, Italian and American. But he was born and raised in Italy. So he's got a very unique world perspective. And the other day, I was sitting with him and his wife. They've become friends. I sold them their house. I'm about to sell their house again. And they're actually moving back to Italy. And in my conversation with him the other day, I was trying to understand because his political perspectives are really interesting because he's worked in high government levels, he's worked in high corporate levels, and he's a brilliant man. And so I found myself the other day, he would say something, and I wasn't sure that I totally understood it. Well, hey, tell me more about that. Help me understand that, right? And then I get him talking about it, and I learn so much. And I think if you want to be a great communicator in general, right? But you want to be a great agent, learn to listen to people. Tell me more about that. Great way. Thank you. Thank you, Larry Kendall, for that. TSW, the system works. That was one of the things that Larry kept hitting. That's a ninja selling phrase that they use all the time. And here's the key. We all need systems. I talk about the consistent, systematic relationship building framework, right? You need systems. And it's not just about having the systems, it's knowing that if you will follow these systems, that they will work. Now, is ninja selling the only way? No, because I know people that use other systems, people that use my system that have been very successful with it. But you do need a system. And if you have a system in place and you follow the system, it will work. So that's some of my takeaways just from ninja selling. Now, let me give you a couple of others, because then traveled up into Wyoming. I met with an agent in Wyoming that we're working on bringing over to, we're licensed. My company's licensed in Wyoming. So we're working on bringing an agent in to start a new market, I don't know where that came from, market in Wyoming. And so I got time to fellowship with him. Awesome time. Went up to Newcastle, Wyoming, which is where our office is, one of our offices in Wyoming, in that region of the country, and then across to South Dakota. Spent some time with our state broker in South Dakota and his wife. Amazing people. Really, I have friends in that part of the country, and I love it, right? So just had a great time. Then I picked up my wife, and I went on this 10 days, speaking 7 times in 10 days across the state of South Dakota. And I went to the east side of South Dakota, a lot of small towns, Aberdeen, Watertown. One of them just totally left my mind, Huron. But the interesting thing was, while I was there, and talking to all of these agents, even in Rapid City, Spearfish, South Dakota, what I found is markets have changed. Okay, now each one of those markets, they were a little bit different, right? You could go from Aberdeen to Watertown, and they're experiencing a little bit of difference in their market, similar but different, and I could even say similar to my market, but different. We've all seen changes in the market, and really, I think change is inevitable. Right now, we've seen this change where the market has been slowing down. In fact, I was talking to a buddy of mine out in Phoenix, Arizona, and he said in their market, if you take out all of the homes that have sold in less than 30 days, then the average days on market is almost at 6 months. So you take out the ones that are selling quick, and the rest of them are averaging 6 months on the market. Like, that's a big time slowdown. That's getting towards a buyer's market, right? So that's 6 months, 4 to 6 months. You're in that balanced market zone. You're really getting up to that buyer market zone out there. And I bet for those sellers, it does feel like a buyer's market. So things are definitely changing in the markets. Another thing that I did learn is that agents have really not felt as big of an effect as previously thought when it comes to the NAR settlement. I taught a buyer agency class. Make a compelling buyer presentation in light of the NAR settlement. It's one of my approved continuing education classes that I teach. And we talked about the NAR settlement. You know, statistically speaking, the commission rates have actually gone up since the settlement went into effect. So greater transparency from the industry, commission rates go up. And so I think that that's important to note. Now, a lot of states, they had buyer agency before. Ohio, where I am, we never had buyer agency. It was not required. Now, I always used buyer agency, but it was not required in my state, so it was a bigger adjustment in our state. In South Dakota, where I was, it's really not a, big deal because they were already doing that. However, those agents were still nervous. There was still a lot of anxiety around the settlement. And what they found a year later is that life goes on, right? And they are still selling real estate. And so it was interesting to hear that. A lot of agents don't feel like they have felt a major effect from the NAR settlement. Agents are craving systems and process improvement. So many agents out there are floundering. They don't know what to do to get their business jump-started, especially in a market that is slowed down. And I find from being with agents that they're craving some systems, that they're craving process improvement to improve their lives and improve their businesses. And so I saw that across the board. And so I taught my productivity and purpose course. This course is really part of the Ultimate Success Framework. And what I loved about it was that it was received so very well. And I could see the craving for it. And agents like light bulbs going off when they realized that they're spending all their time doing the wrong things. And so seeing those light bulbs go off and seeing agents say, oh my goodness, I could implement this tomorrow. It is, a system, a process improvement that will make their lives better and very easy to implement. Wow, I'm throwing stuff around here. So here I see that they're craving this. A lot of agents are craving this out there. And we have some solution for it. And so, I don't know, there's just something in me that feels good that I know that we can help agents, live better lives using this system. And so that's, again, we are, as this comes out, when this episode hits, we will be very close to launching the Ultimate Success Framework online course. The last thing, as I reflected on this trip, I realized I really love my life. And I love my wife, right? My wife came out and, now she's a little bit more of an introvert than I am, but she came out and she loves staying back in the hotels and reading and just being, peace and quiet and not stressing about things and not having to, take care of all the things that she takes care of on a daily basis while I was out teaching, which brings me alive. And I just love being with my wife, Elizabeth. We had so much fun together. We laughed. We had great dinners together, and it was like one long date, and it was awesome. And so I encourage you, like with your spouse, are you taking some time to connect and reconnect? Maybe you need to go away on a trip where it's just the two of you, where you can have that amazing connection time, along with doing other things that bring you alive. Like, again, for me, when I am with agents, helping them live their best life and achieve ultimate success, being in front of them, speaking, inspiring them, that is really what brings me alive. This show is one of the things that brings me alive because I know it can help you live a better life. So yes, I love my life, but I love my wife, but I love my life. I love this life that I get to live. And a lot of that is because of you. And I'm inspired by the agents that I get to meet. I'm inspired every time we get, an email or I get a text message and people say, you've got to keep doing the show. We love the content that you're putting out. It's helping us. And so, here's what I want to do as I close down today. I want to challenge you. If you're on YouTube, put a comment in YouTube. What would you like to see on the show? What topics do you want me to cover? What things could I be putting out that could help you in this time to be better? What guests should I have on the show? Maybe you've heard someone that you're like, man, they would make a great guest on Real Life and Real Estate. What guests should we have on the show? We actually have a great list of guests. This is the last episode, I believe, that you're going to have before we get back into guests. And some of the guests that we have coming on the show are going to just blow your mind. I have some incredible people coming on the show. So be watching for the guests. But who do you have? Who do you know who would be a great guest on Real Life and Real Estate that's impacted your life and can impact the lives of other agents? Let us know about that. So comment on YouTube or send us an email. We'll put that in the show notes. You can send us an email to the producer of the show, and we will look into those guest opportunities or look into those topic opportunities because we really want to find ways to continue to help you as agents. So I've been on this trip. It's been amazing. I'm so glad to be back here in the studio, here with you. And we have so many great things to come. So much happening here over the next few weeks with the launch of the Ultimate Success Framework. And we're going to keep working towards living our best lives and achieving ultimate success. Have a great week, and I will see you next week.